So this video started out with just a simple, I want to revamp my booth. I want to make it look a little bit nicer. I want to give it a little bit of an update. And it turned into a complete booth swap. So let's get into it. So I decided I wanted to whitewash this wall to give my booth a little bit of an update. We're here on dealer's night at 4th Street Antiques, and we moved everything off of that side of the booth and shoved it into our other booth so that way we could start painting. The first step in a whitewash is we gave the wall a good painting with the white paint, and we're just doing the wood part. My sister's rolling on the paint and Chuck is working on all of the edges to get all of the paint in there before I start wiping the paint back. After you've got your paint on and before it starts to dry, you want to quickly spray your paint down with water, and then using a cloth, you're going to wipe the paint back. This is a whitewash technique, and it's really simple to do. It just can be a little bit messy, which is why I'm wearing gloves. So as you can see, I'm spraying the paint with water to get it good and saturated, and now that it's moist, I'm wiping it back and it's lifting off some of the paint so the beautiful grain of the wood can still shine through. Look at my gloves. This can get really messy. It's a good idea to wear gloves. Also, as you're painting, you want to remember to work in sections so that way it doesn't dry. So you're going to paint a section and then whitewash it, and then paint a section and whitewash it. If you can have a partner, it works out even better, because then as one person's painting, the other person's going behind them and whitewashing, which is what Chuck and me and my sister were doing here. When I'm doing the whitewash technique, as I wipe the paint back, I prefer to do long, even strokes up and down, and I generally try to avoid doing short little wipes back and forth, left and right. I try to do the long, even strokes because it gives a more finished look at the end. So here's the wall all done. It took me and my sister and Chuck about 30-45 minutes to complete it. Luckily, we had a bunch of people helping. We've let the wall dry a little bit, and now we're going to start restaging our booth. I moved this little corner cabinet up from the corner just to create a little vignette in the front of the booth and try to create like a sense of two rooms in our booth. We're hanging everything up. We're about an hour and a half into dealer's night, and it's literally only 2 hours long that we can be there. So we're really rushing to try to get everything done. We've moved everything out of our smaller booth and we've restocked our larger booth. Thank you very much, little sister, for sweeping my booth for me. She's like, get me out of here. Get me out of the shot. Here is our smaller booth. We've restaged everything. We took everything down off of the walls, which kind of forced us to have to rehang everything. And it came out really good. Here is our larger booth done for the moment. This was just a mad dash at the end to try to get everything into our booth. Like I said, there was the first vignette creating a sense of a room, and here's the second little room that we tried to create. We rehung everything on the walls. I put all of this gold together behind that light to try and make it pop. One of the things that I did notice when I hung that poinsettia picture up there was that the wall is leaning forward, which I was really concerned about, but we had to just finish everything and get out of the shop because dealer night was officially over. So I'm just doing some last minute shots here of our booth now that it's done, and I think it looks so good. I was really happy with the way it turned out. Here's our smaller booth with our Chalky Chicks paint in it. You guys know I love my Chalky Chicks paint. I'm always gonna be a fan. Love my Chalky Chicks paint. This dealer's night was in January. It was after the holidays. We had removed all of our Christmas, but we were still leaving in some winter items. So you're going to see a mix and match. There's still going to be some Christmassy looking things, some little glittery stars, some snow-capped trees and little pine cones and stuff. But we're also slowly starting to bring in some spring. So as you look at all of the beautiful video that my sister filmed, you're going to see that slow transition from holiday to winter, and we're starting to transition from winter to spring as well. So that was part one of the video. Sorry, it's still early in the morning. I'm drinking my coffee while I'm trying to edit this video. That was part one of the video. And from there, the timeline, it was the end of January. We were heading into Valentine's Day. I had been selling some stuff in my booth. We were restocking. We were adding in some more items for Valentine's Day. A couple things had sold off of that one wall. Remember that I was telling you that was leaning a little bit. So I was working on that wall a little bit. And they had asked me if I wanted to swap booths because another dealer was frustrated with her booth and she said she wanted something smaller. She wanted to downsize. And they told me they knew that I had wanted a larger booth, and I had the opportunity to swap booths right now if I wanted to. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. You know, I had just whitewashed that wall like 2 weeks before, and I wasn't ready to move. I wanted to see how the whitewash walls were working and if I liked it or not. And they said, okay, well, just let us know. You have until the end of February. And I said, okay, no problem. So then I'm in my booth and I'm just working it. I'm restocking. I'm doing a little bit of restaging, and something falls off of that wall, the one that was kind of like this a little bit. It just, boom, falls right off of the wall and breaks this old antique piece of European glass that I had. And it's my fault for not having it in a protected display case. Usually I have display cases with glass and shelves and it's inside and it's protected. I didn't have any of those in my booth at this point in time. It was just kind of out in the mix, but I knew what it was. It was a beautiful piece of European glass. And I think it was from like 1880 something to 1890 something, somewhere in that area. So this piece falls off of the wall and shatters it. And I'm upset. I'm mad at myself. I'm kind of upset that I let that happen. And I just was like, you know, maybe it's time for a switch. Maybe it's time for a change for me to makes me move. I told them I will move. And they said, okay, just the square footage of the booth I'm getting is just like a couple of feet smaller than my two booths combined. They said they wanted me to move up to the larger booth, but they wanted me to give up my two smaller booths. And I said, okay, I'll do it. You know, I need a change. I wanted a challenge. I wanted to have a different shaped booth because I always have long, narrow booths that are kind of like closet shapes. And this one's more of a rectangle form. And I said, I'll try this one out. Instead of just completely leaving the shop and going to another shop, I'll stay and try out a different booth and see how I like it. And this is only after having painted the walls like maybe 2 weeks before. We gave up our two booths for one closer to the front. That's a larger, more rectangular size booth. And when I told them I would move, it was February 16th, maybe somewhere in that area. It was like right after Valentine's Day. I said, okay, we'll move. And then we moved up to the front and we had just a couple of weeks to get everything packed up and ready to go to the new booth. So now we're moving on to part 2 of this video where you see us now moving. So this is dealer's night in February, and dealer's nights are usually the last weekend, like usually the last Thursday of the month. So I'm here just getting everything ready to go, and we're going to start moving. So as I'm packing up my booth, the girl that I'm swapping booths with in the front, she's also packing up her booth, so that way we can do a quick switcheroo. At this point, Valentine's Day and Chinese New Year are over. You can see I have a lot of red in my booth, and I have some things that kind of are like the Chinese checkers, which is kind of cheesy, but I was just trying to think of something that would reach out for Chinese New Year, and then all of the flowers for Valentine's Day. You can see there's more spring colors now that I've incorporated into my booth, and I have where I'm starting to get ready for Easter. You can see crosses and like the little mossy green ball and stuff like that, that just kind of reminds you of Easter. So now I'm into the smaller booth and I'm packing up all of my paint, and I'm starting to struggle with a space issue. We've used up carts and moving dollies and all kinds of equipment like that, and I'm starting to wonder where I'm going to put things as I move them. Here we are in our new booth. The first thing I got in was my Chalky Chicks paint and my display for it. I was able to get it all cleaned up and dusted off, and I'm really liking the way it looks. I think it looks really, really good, and it just feels more open and airy and fresh. Here is Friday, the 29th of February. We had to get out of the booth, so we went in early in the morning and we took out these two large pieces of furniture that never sold. Here is our booth empty, ready for the new dealer to move in. This is our smaller booth where our paint was. This is my other old booth. This is the larger one. This is now Rose Cottage. This is the lady that wanted to swap with me. And oh my gosh, I love what she did with the booth. It looks so good. It's such a nice change. And it does feel like for her and for me that we've just kind of revitalized our booths. Knowing Kathy, she's not gonna like that I took these videos, because I can already see where people had been shopping and rummaging through her booth, and it's not as put together as she normally has it, but it looks good. I still like what she did. I love the back display piece, those horizontal lines that make the booth look bigger. And I love right in here, these little display pieces. I love those. Kathy said she had these little purses and sunglasses in her old booth, but I didn't notice them. But now she has them right out front where you can see them. And I am a big fan of sunglasses, especially out here in sunny Southern California. Now we are heading into my booth to do a final tour, and I walked right past it. I was heading to my old booth, and I wonder how many times I'm going to do that before I remember that this is now my booth. I was in the old booth for a couple of years. It was a good booth to me. I love that booth, and it got me out here into Temecula where I wanted to be. But now this is my booth. And as you can see, we've brought in some Easter stuff. We have spring in. It feels so big. I'm not used to this amount of space. I'm used to the narrow little closet, but oh my gosh, I think it turned out wonderful, and I'm very happy that I moved. I'm glad that I made the decision to do it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that they gave me, that instead of renting the booth out to someone else, they said, hey, do you want to swap? And I'm really glad that I did, because I think it looks good. At some point, I may whitewash that wooden wall right there, because I'm back to a wood wall, or I may put some kind of a covering over it so it looks like faux brick. But I mean, that will be for a later time. At this point, we were just trying to get into the booth and be done. And we are done. I'm Jessie from Urban Legends Antiques, and thanks for coming along for the ride. And look, my sister found us on our little map. There's Temecula in the lower part of Southern California. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye!